Spotify is often celebrated as one of the most iconic examples of agile culture at scale. But this recognition doesn't stem from its processes or rituals. What really makes Spotify stand out is its mindset. More than any framework or structure, Spotify's way of working is deeply rooted in a culture of trust, autonomy, and aligned purpose. This culture isn't formalized in a document or a set of rules. As Spotify itself says, culture is how we behave when no one is looking. It's the patterns, assumptions, and behaviors that emerge in everyday decisions. And at Spotify, those behaviors are built on a deliberate balance between freedom and responsibility, experimentation and learning, speed and safety. One of the most fundamental concepts in Spotify's way of working is the relationship between alignment and autonomy. In most organizations, these two ideas are perceived as being on opposite ends of a spectrum. More alignment means less autonomy, and vice versa. But Spotify challenges this idea. They replace the linear scale with a two-dimensional matrix. Autonomy is one axis, alignment is the other. The goal is not to choose between them, but to maximize them both. The top left quadrant of the matrix, high alignment but low autonomy, describes traditional command and control organizations. Everyone knows where to go, but no one has the freedom to choose how. The bottom right quadrant, high autonomy and low alignment, describes chaos. Everyone is moving fast, but in different directions. The real sweet spot is the top right corner, high autonomy and high alignment. This is where the innovation thrives. Teams move quickly and independently, but always with a shared understanding of where they are going and why. In a way, alignment enables autonomy, which means that the more we know the direction, the more we can work by ourselves in a productive team way. Obviously, this quadrant is difficult to reach and difficult to maintain, as humans tend quite naturally to diverge. This is why Spotify leaders spend a lot of time communicating vision, context, and strategy, not to control people's work, but to give them the clarity they need to make their own decisions. This is alignment, and once that's clear, autonomy follows naturally. To maintain that balance, Spotify makes a clear cultural choice to trust people. From the very beginning, the new employees are trusted to do the right thing. There's no long process of earning the trust. It is granted. The assumption is that people are smart, motivated, and capable. If someone joins your team, it's because they are ready to contribute. Managers don't control or direct. They enable. Their job is to clear obstacles, not to micromanage. Trust goes hand in hand with accountability. People have a lot of freedom at Spotify, but also a strong sense of ownership. This trust over control approach shapes everything from decision-making to software development. Teams don't need approval from 5 layers of management to ship the code. If they feel confident and safe, they ship. If something breaks, they fix it, learn from it, and move on. This kind of environment is only possible if people also feel safe to fail. At Spotify, failure is not a sign of weakness. It's part of the process. Teams are encouraged to experiment, test ideas, and learn from what doesn't work. Failures are discussed openly without blame. Retrospectives are not about finger-pointing, but about understanding what happened and how to improve. It's what they call a fail-friendly culture, not because failing is the goal, but because the only way to innovate quickly is to accept that not every experiment will work. This fail-friendly environment mindset is closely connected to Spotify's preference for small, frequent releases. Instead of big launches every quarter or year, team release updates continuously. This reduces the risk. If something goes wrong, the damage is limited. It also speeds up feedback. The sooner you get your product into the user's hand, the sooner you know what works and what doesn't. Spotify teams also build tools to support this way of working: dashboards, health checks, automated tests, and monitoring. These tools give visibility without creating bottlenecks. They allow teams to detect issues early, correct them quickly, and keep learning. So while autonomy is high, quality and safety are not compromised. In fact, they are enhanced because everyone takes responsibility. But none of this works without the right social dynamics. One of the most interesting and subtle aspects of Spotify's culture is its treatment of ego and humility. To make autonomy work and to handle failure constructively, teams need psychological safety. That means people must feel comfortable being vulnerable, saying, I don't know, asking for help, giving and receiving feedbacks. At Spotify, this is not just encouraged, it's normalized. Leaders model vulnerability. Teams celebrate learning moments, and ego is deliberately de-emphasized. It's okay to challenge a decision if you do it respectfully. It's okay to abandon your idea if someone has a better one. This doesn't mean people aren't proud of their work. It means they value outcomes over personal credit. The culture pushes for collective progress over individual status. This trust-based approach influences how Spotify hires and promotes people. Skills matter, of course, but mindset matters just as much. Are you curious? Are you collaborative? Do you listen? Do you give other space? These are the traits that help sustain the culture. And because of that, culture fit is not about conformity. It's about shared values and behavioral patterns that support agility at scale. All these principles are supported, not defined, by Spotify structures. Squads, tribes, chapters, and guilds are often cited as the secret formula. But internally, they are treated as loose guidelines, not strict frameworks. The structure exists to support autonomy and learning, not to enforce consistency. In fact, one of the most important things to understand is that Spotify model is constantly evolving. Teams are free to experiment not only with product ideas, but with their own work. If a squad finds a better way to coordinate or collaborate, then they try it. And if it works, others might adopt it. The model itself is agile. Even the retrospectives reflect this mindset. They are not a ritual to be checked off, but a moment of reflection. What's working? What's not? What should we change? These conversations happen regularly, and they lead to real adjustments. At Spotify, improvement is not a project, it's an habit. To conclude, the Spotify case shows as agile as a culture truly looks like. They started as a Scrum company, following the agile as a process approach. But then they evolved, and the company grew. The needs evolved. They needed more than processes. They needed a shared culture, and that's where principles started mattering more than practices, and agility became more than a process. It is not about copying structures or practices. It is about fostering the behaviors, mindsets, and conditions that allow agility to emerge and sustain itself. The focus on alignment and autonomy, the investment in trust, the acceptance of failure, the commitment to learning, and the humility to adapt. These are the foundations of Spotify's success.